Okay, Elena, thank you so much. And we are so proud to have a member of the Pennsylvania cannabis community in with us on Cannabis Coast to Coast News this week. His name is Gibran Washington. He's a very successful entrepreneur from Pennsylvania, but it's via Florida, right? Because Florida is your home state, correct? And
Florida's home state, but I have a home in Philadelphia, so Pennsylvania is home. I pay taxes in Pennsylvania.
oh, there you go. Well, there you go. And good for you for paying your taxes, by the way. Because in this industry, a lot of people don't like to pay bills, whether it's taxes or not. Anyway, let's keep going. So, big news this week in Pennsylvania: the House of Representatives passes a bill for adult use, 102 to 101, bipartisan lines, was Republicans 101 and Democrats 102. Let's not get into politics if we can help it. Here's my number one question for you. Is this the beginning, or is there another bill in the legislature that may have a better chance to survive what will be, I'm sure, amendments in the Senate?
Yeah, I mean, I think Amend Brown has a really good bill. It's very similar to what Senator Street has over in the Senate that we are behind, and similar bills of such. And we don't believe this current bill, the way it's constructed, will make it through the Senate. We don't really understand how a state-sponsored cannabis program would actually even work. If we want to just kind of talk to the mechanics of how that would even how they would be able to accept money, how employees would be able to do these kind of transactions. So as long as it's federally illegal, we really don't understand how the state of Pennsylvania will be able to execute this. But we also don't feel that's an equitable approach to being giving people access to cannabis, whether that's from the patient side or from the business side. Because if you go to a state-run model, people who have been disproportionately impacted with the war on drugs won't have an opportunity to have a seat at the table as an ownership seat at the table. And that's something that I think we all want as we talk about the history and the culture of cannabis.
Absolutely. And you guys have 8 locations in Pennsylvania right now. They're obviously all medical because that is the only thing that's allowed in Pennsylvania. It must help to have a governor like Josh Shapiro who backs this effort and wants to sign a bill for adult use in his state. I'm not quite sure, based on everything that I'm hearing and reading about this, that it may be the right bill, but it's certainly, I've pegged Pennsylvania as the 25th state to become an adult use legal. So I hope they don't let me down. The Eagles didn't let me down, so I'm hoping that they don't let me down in the legislative chambers, as it were. Is this the year that it's going to happen?
It's the year we would hope for it to happen. I think, Governor Shapiro has shown that he's an amazing common sense governor. He does what's right for the people of Pennsylvania, and we've been wanting this to happen for several years now. We feel this is a good inflection point. I think there's a lot of states that have gone from medical into the recreational space, and they've seen positive impacts, whether that's from revenue, whether that's from overall health in their municipality. So we believe that, this is the right time. Last year was the right time. So whenever they feel as though they're ready to accept cannabis as a medicinal medicine for more and more Pennsylvanians, we think it's the time is always now.
And you guys embrace this plant as a medicine. And I was kind of shocked that you dropped in the R word, the recreational word. I don't like that word.
But we
Okay.
don't either.
Because it's like you shouldn't be using medicine recreationally. And by the way, Robitussin gets you high. Okay.
Yeah.
And you have to have an adult 21 to walk it out of Walgreens or Walmart or wherever it is sold. And yet, it's not vilified over 80 years of stigma and reefer madness. It's a cough medicine. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that's
Oh,
the
without a doubt.
and that's the analogy I use all the time when people talk to me about it and they use the word recreational. It's one of those hot buttons that I just can't stop talking about because
No, I totally
I
understand.
I don't want legalization. I want normalization. I want
Correct.
acceptance. I want this plant to be respected the way it should have been respected for the entire 20th century instead
Oh, I
of
agree.
what it was. And one of my favorite stats, here you go. Here's something for you. From 1900 to 1906, members and graduates of the University of Pennsylvania, NYU, Harvard, and Yale med schools wrote 5 million prescriptions for cannabis.
Tell you what, we were a healthy country for those 6 years, I promise you.
Exactly. But I think in fact, I know because you live this. that the power of money, greed, and systematic racism, it wasn't so systematic back then either, I might add. The Jim Crow South was very much alive and well, and they wanted to make sure they maintained it that way and kept it that way post-Civil War. I was a history major. By the way, that's
No, I love it. I love
old
it. I
news.
love it.
That's old news. You know what I'm saying? So I guess my question is, um, how do you feel now with a new administration running our government? And are they in a position to become heroes for this cause? Because right now, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican anymore. I'm a one issue voter. I only care about this industry and doing right by this industry because they have been most harmed by the failed war on drugs. I mean, it's only fair. And I don't like things that aren't fair. You know, I'm an athlete for crying out loud. I want a level playing field, right?
Oh, totally. I totally agree. And I think, to kind of echo your sentiment, I'm an American.
Right.
And regardless of the administration that is in power, I'm hoping that they're going to do the best by all Americans, whether that's Trump, Biden, Obama, Bush, or Reagan.
Right.
So we believe that, all the administration's responsibility is to do what's best for Americans. We're hoping that with some of the things that RFK is talking about, whether that's food dyes and prescription medications, that we're hoping that cannabis is a natural, progressive conversation for them to start talking about as a substitute for some of the things that we know have been harmful all across this country. We talk about Big Pharma and Oxycontin and that whole thing that happened there. So we believe that we're not a substitute for that addictive substance. We believe we're an additive to what maybe people were searching for, which was either pain relief or depression or anxiety. We feel that we can fill the void that Big Pharma has created with something that's not as addictive, not as harmful to the body. So we hope that the administration, as they say they're going to make America healthy again, we believe cannabis and other nootropics and things of that nature are things that will help make America great again. I mean, make America healthy again. I'm sorry.
Well, and alongside being great again, actually acting like real Americans is what I keep telling people because,
Yeah.
well, let's not get into the because, okay? Uh,
Well, I mean, it's okay. I mean, I think, I tell the team all the time, we have one race and we're human. And I think the sooner that we can understand that in a global sense, I think the better off we all are. But aspirationally, we take steps forward, we take steps back. But I think that the nucleus of all the world believes in that, believes that we're all human and we're more alike than we are different. But the media will have us feel a little bit differently. But so I live in the South and in the Northeast at the same time, and I have friends from every walk of life. So I do hear what you're saying, and I echo that sentiment as well.
and I'm even going to let you get away with a shot at media because they're the reason why I started my own media company because they love to embellish and sensationalize every stub toe that this industry has so they can get better ratings. I was on both sides of the
Yeah.
media. I was on camera as a host, and I was also a sales guy and a manager. And obviously, the how many eyeballs, how many times, it all comes down to ratings and it's a cost per thousand. That is the unit of measurement of all media, but we're just conduits of information. What happened, in my opinion, I'm going to throw it out there. I know we're going to wrap very soon. When our elected officials gave the keys to the asylum to the social media companies so they didn't have to appear before the FCC to get a
Yeah.
license to broadcast, because this is what they're doing on the internet now. Streaming is, it's no longer broadcast. It's no longer over the air. It's streaming information. And I don't think I have to explain to you that you got one side that's got this group of information, you got the other side that's doing this group of information, and let's just say if they could get that one back and do a mulligan, I bet they would do a mulligan and have every single one of those social media companies have to get a license, just like all my old friends in commercial media had to get for, 50 years since War of the Worlds. If you know
No,
that,
totally agree. Yeah.
right?
I think when I say the word media, I believe all words live on a spectrum.
Right.
So there's good media, there's bad media, and there's the media that's in between there. So, I love good media. I don't like the propaganda type of media, I guess is what I was trying to say.
And facts, if you deal with facts, you're going to be fine. It's the interpretation and embellishment of the facts that gets everybody in trouble a little bit. Gibran Washington, I could be sitting here, I could talk to you for hours. You know that, right? Because we didn't even touch on sports.
Well, I mean, I would love to spend more time with you, Jimmy, and let's keep it rolling. Let's see what all we can get into and how deep we can get in the time frame that we have.
Absolutely. And more importantly, and we know that there are people out there listening. You're welcome anytime just say, hey, I got something I got to say. I want to get it on your news. You call me. We'll take care of that. And I appreciate you taking the time. I know how busy you are.
Sure.
And I also kind of forced your handlers, as they say, to get it done today, because I spent all Sunday putting this news show together, and then we released it on Monday.
Perfect.
So again,
perfect time. Christina had a busy week, as you can imagine, with all this going on. So we're honored and privileged to be able to speak to you and get a chance to speak on your network. So it's the feeling's mutual. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I think I messed up. Did you know there's a place that covers all the cannabis news you need? Welcome to Pro Cannabis Media, your go-to for all things cannabis. PCM is the CNBC of weed, bringing you the latest news and talk shows with a twist. We've got 16 state correspondents and multimedia journalists from around the US and Canada. It all started back in 2018 when founder Jimmy Young kicked off the In the Weeds podcast. His mission? Documenting the fight to end cannabis prohibition. Fast forward to today, and we've got Cannabis Coast to Coast with Elena Pinto delivering the nation's only TV-style cannabis news show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Cannabis Coast to Coast News, Pro Cannabis Media's weekly roundup of the news from the industry. I'm Elena Pinto.
As of August 2024, PCM has racked up over 1.2 million views and 14.5 million impressions on our YouTube channel. With 15,000 subscribers and growing, our reach is spreading like wildfire. Cannabis Coast to Coast News, hosted by Elena Pinto, features insights, interviews, and fresh perspectives from our network of 16 correspondents. It's your weekly dose of professional cannabis news straight from the experts. So, where can you catch all this awesome content? PCM's website, YouTube, Rumble, Discord, Roku, Twitch, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and even our very own PCM TV app. We've got over 1,000 videos in our archive, so there's always something new to watch.